all, and welcome to this live training on Adobe Premiere Pro. You are here because you want to learn to edit videos in this really powerful program that, let's be honest, it can maybe be a little bit intimidating when you first open it up. Maybe you launched the app and you were like, okay, there's a lot going on here, and you didn't know how to get started. Or maybe you got started on a project, but you don't know all the steps to finish it. If either one of those sound like you, welcome, my friend. You're in the right place because we're going to be covering all the things today. So today we're going to be going through the entire editing process in Adobe Premiere Pro from start to finish. So I'm going to talk about how to set up your project. We're going to be going over navigating the interface and where everything is. I'm going to be talking about how to edit footage, and also I'm going to give you a lot of efficiency tips so you can edit fast, because I know you have a life to live, right? We're going to talk about color and audio. I want you looking good and sounding good. And we're also going to be making our video look really fancy with some titles and graphics. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about how to export your video out of Premiere and onto the internet so you can blow it up with your brilliance and make the impact on the world that you want to make. Now, as I go through this webinar, I really encourage you to get your hands dirty, because it's one thing for you to learn by just like watching me, but when you get in there and experiment, that's how you really learn. And so I'm going to be creating a project as I go through this webinar, and you're welcome to create that project with me. You can download all the files that I'm using for that project, and that is linked in the description below if you want to download those. And I'll tell you a little bit about the video we're making. We are making the intro for a YouTube video where I am giving tips on how to keep your camera gear organized and control the chaos so you can find what you need when you need it. Also, I don't want you to stress about having to take notes during this webinar and write down everything I'm saying, because I want you to just be able to digest it, right? Kick back and watch and play around. I have everything, all the steps that I'm going through in this webinar, recapped in a really convenient, easy to use recap guide. That's also linked down in the description below. Okay. Also, questions are encouraged. I don't want you to feel like you're interrupting me. Go ahead and drop any questions, anything that's not clear in the chat. Also, we have Caroline from the Adobe team who is in the chat as well, and she's going to be helping me answer some of your questions. I'm going to be checking the chat throughout. If you have questions about Premiere, anything I'm doing, any Adobe apps, go ahead and don't hesitate. Ask them. But before we get into it, let me introduce myself. Hey, y'all. My name is Betsy. You can call me Mary. I am a filmmaker, a designer, and a teacher. And what else do I want to tell you about you? Oh, okay. So you might also hear a little twang in this webinar because I'm originally from South Carolina, but now I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. And my husband and I have a couple video production companies. So we make marketing videos and recruitment videos for companies of all sizes, and we also make really fun wedding videos that are sweet and add a little personal vibe to our our businesses. And so when I tell you that I spend a lot of time in Premiere editing videos, okay, I am keeping it real. I live in this program. I love this program. I'm really excited to show you around because there's so much you can do with it. But first, a little heads up, a disclaimer. So I've taught a lot of tutorials and lessons on Premiere, but this is my third live stream teaching Premiere. And so I'm going to need a little feedback. I feel like the first one I went super fast. Maybe I went too slow in the last one. And so y'all let me know how I'm doing on the pace. Like I said, live stream is new for me. So drop these emojis. Let me know if you want me to slow down, if you want me to speed up, if you want me to keep going, so that, I can serve you best during this webinar. All right, enough of this intro, though. Let's get into making this project. And I'm just going to check real fast in the chat. Can everybody let me know if you can hear me? Hi, whoop, whoop. Okay, I feel like I wouldn't be seeing some positive stuff like that if you couldn't hear me. Okay, cool. Buford, South Carolina, what up? South Cat. All right, so let's jump in. I'm going to show you my screen here. Which one do I want to show you here? Screen. Here we go. Actually, I'll jump over to this side. Okay, so before we get started in Premiere, we're not going to touch Premiere yet because the first step to making our project is to have all of our files in one dedicated project folder here. Now, I know that you are probably like, look, Mary, I know how to organize the files on my device. Like, I don't need you to teach me that. I just need you to teach me Premiere. I get it. But I promise you this is very related because whether or not your project is going to work in Premiere all depends on whether Premiere can find the files for it. And if you've got your files stored all over your device in a bunch of random places, and then maybe you start moving those files around or renaming them, or you forget that they were used in a project and you accidentally delete them, then you're going to have some issues, right? Premiere is going to get confused. And then, you're going to have like this giant mess that you have to sort out, and ain't nobody got time for that, right? And so it is so much easier if you just start with all of your project files in one folder from the beginning and you keep everything organized. So if you're following along, you should see all of these folders inside this project folder. Again, you can download that in the link in the description. So we're doing good. We're doing so well already, y'all. All right, next, we're going to launch Premiere. And when we do that, you're going to get a welcome screen that looks like this, okay? And look at this, y'all. Premiere is being so friendly, saying, welcome to Premiere, Mary. So you should see a message like this on your screen. So say, hey, Premiere, what's up? Because we about to get this party started. All right, so now I want you to go over to this button here in the top left called New Project, okay? That's how we're going to create our new project. So you're going to click that. Then I've got a settings window. And oh my goodness, y'all, there are so many settings to decide. But don't worry, we are going to keep it easy here. So first, we're going to give our project a name. So let's call this Gear Organization Tutorial. And then we're going to tell Premiere, where do we want to save this project? Very simple. Y'all already know where we're saving it because we're being very organized. So I'm just going to go to our dedicated project folder here and make sure that that's where I'm saving this. We're going to choose that. All right, cool. We're done with the General tab. Okay, so now we're going to click on the second tab called Scratch Disks, and you're going to see, oops, we've got all these things. Captured video, captured audio, video previews, project autosave. Whoa, a lot of things. What is all this? So these are all folders that Premiere is going to create, and it's going to stuff some files in them to make your project work as you're editing. You don't need to worry about this, okay? Premiere is going to do all this in the background for you, but what it wants to know right now is where do you want these folders saved, okay? So, of course, we're saving everything in the same folder, so you're just going to go here and you're going to say same as project. We want it in the same folder as our project. So just go through all of these and make sure that that is selected for each one of these options here. All right, and when you're done, then you're going to click OK, and we're going to get into Premiere. So this is a really exciting moment. That's going to take a second because I'm live streaming and my processor is, it's doing some work. It's hustling. So I'm not going to be mad at it right now. Okay, and now I'm just going to do a little housekeeping here. Y'all don't worry about this. Pretend you're not even seeing this because I just need to straighten some things out here. Okay, so you will see that I'm dragging some things around. And that is because Premiere is a beautifully customizable interface, which I love because I want things just a certain way. Okay, so let's talk about what we're looking at here. So you will see in this interface, we've got different boxes here. All right, each one of these boxes is called a panel, and each panel has a different job in Premiere, so it has a different function. Okay, so like down here, obviously we got a tools panel, we got a timeline panel. We're going to get into all this in a second, but for now, I just want you to know this is not all the panels in Premiere. Okay, there are a lot more, but we don't want all the panels up at once because that would be a hot mess. We only want the panels up that we need when we need them, right? So because of that, if we go up here to the top, you're going to notice that we've got all these different categories for kind of different stages or different needs that we might have during our edit. Each one of these is called a workspace, and each workspace is going to have a curated collection of panels for you depending on where you're at in your edit. So that makes things really easy. But for now, I want you to go over and check. Make sure you have this assembly workspace selected, okay? Because we're about to assemble our video first. All right, now your assembly workspace might look different than mine because again, you probably, oops, nope, we're still in this little annotation app. Let's get out of that. You probably noticed earlier that, I was dragging things around. I was rearranging, and that's because, this is a really customizable interface. So don't worry about that for now. We'll figure everything out later, but I do want you to know that if, let's say there's a panel up you don't want, you just go to this little hamburger menu. You can go to Close Panel, and then if there is a panel that you want to see up that you don't see, you can go up to this window menu and then look at all the fun panels that we've got here. We're going to get into a lot of these in a second. All right, but for now, we're going to start over here in this panel. So this panel is the project panel. I don't know, it might be in a different place on your screen. So you're just going to look for the panel that says project and then whatever you named your project. Okay, this panel is the refrigerator in Premiere, in our little Premiere Pro kitchen, okay? This is where we're gonna store all the raw ingredients that we're gonna make our project from. Now, right now, we ain't got nothing in our fridge, and so that's really sad. So let's get some media in this fridge. So to import media into your project panel, all you have to do is right-click and then go to Import. But if you're like I am, you like a little drag and drop situation because that's super easy. So I'm gonna go to Finder here on my Mac, and then I'm going to go, if you're following along, I want you to go inside that project folder and grab the footage folder, and then we're just gonna drag the whole thing in. And we're going to import, and Mary is gonna drink some water. I don't know why I'm talking about myself in the third person. All right, so now that this footage folder has come into Premiere, I want you to notice something. I want you to notice when I hover my mouse over it, it's not called a footage folder, it's called a footage bin. And that is because back in the day, you know, before the days of digital film, they had physical film, reels, and they had to store that not in folders, but in these giant bins, and so that carried over. So a bin in Premiere is just a folder where you're gonna store some assets, right? If you wanna create a new bin in Premiere, you're going to right-click, and then you can go to New Bin in this project panel. Or you can also go down here to the bottom. There's a little bin or folder icon that says New Bin. Okay, I also want you to notice over here at the top right, we've got this search bar, which is super, super dope. This is the search engine within Premiere. So I'm gonna search for something. I have a clip in here called Scrambling, a couple clips. I don't even have to type in the whole word, and Premiere has got me. I could type in video, it's gonna show me all the video files. I could type in 1080, it'll show me all the 1080p files. I could type in MP3, any attribute you can think of, and Premiere is gonna find it for you, all right? I also, if you're following along, I want you to expand this folder, bin of footage, and then expand this first bin here. And then I want you to notice, if I drag this project panel out, look, we've got a spreadsheet of all the metadata that you could think of for these files. And just like any other spreadsheet, you know, we can sort by a certain piece of metadata. We could also rearrange and drag these columns around. And then, you know, if we wanted to, we could right-click here and go to this option, metadata display. And then I've got some options here. If I wanted to add more metadata columns to our spreadsheet, y'all, when I tell you Premiere is going to give you options, okay, I am not playing, but we don't need to get into all that. Let's just keep it simple for now. So I'm gonna drag this project panel over and make it smaller again because that was a lot of data. Okay, so next I want you to notice okay, so if you're following along, I want you to go to this first bin of footage, and I want you to double click it. And I want you to notice that when you do that, we've got tabs here, okay? So we can have multiple tabs open in the project panel just like we were in an internet browser, right? And then down at the bottom here, you'll notice we've got these little icons. These are our view options. So we can, you know, tell it, let's put this in icon view. Let's go back to this bin where we actually have some footage, and we'll put it in icon view, and bam, we've got icons and previews that we can see. So that's super helpful. This other view down here is called freeform view, and that's gonna let you be super free, and then, you know, we can stack things up like cards on a table. We could make this bigger and just like group our shots this way if we wanted to. But this is a little messy for me, so we're gonna go back to icon view where everything is lined up. Oh, I'm breathing a sigh of relief now. Okay, we can also use the slider here to increase the size of our icons, or we can use this menu here, this little icon, and we can sort our media by any attribute. So anything you can think of. In our case, we're gonna go to name and just sort them in order by name. All right, so now, we're gonna get into like cutting up this video and actually making it the right way. But first, before we do that, I don't want you to be lost. So I wanna kind of give you a little tour of, you know, this is where I live. I spend all my time here. So I'm gonna give you a little tour of my space so you are knowing what's going on. So, here we go. This panel we already know about, right? We know that this is the project panel. Okay, so this is where we're going to be getting our clips ready. We're finding footage, we're organizing it. We're also trimming and previewing so that we get just the right excerpt before we add it to our timeline. Now, the other panel where we're going to be doing that is over here, and it is called the source panel. The reason it's called the source panel is because this footage over here, these assets, these are our source footage clips. Okay, these are the sources we're making our video from, right? And so when we double click one of those assets, it's going to show up here in the source panel, and we're going to be able to see it bigger, and we're also going to be able to hear audio. So the project panel is like, we're just going to preview and trim clips up and do this really fast. And then the source panel is like, we need to take a closer look and hear what's going on to make a decision. Now for both of these panels, we are dragging them over here to this panel, which you can probably guess what this long horizontal panel here is. This is the timeline panel, right? And then the last panel that we've got is up here at the top. And this panel is called the program panel. And I don't know about you, but back in the day when I was growing up, my grandma used to be like, I got to watch my TV program tonight at 6 p.m. So this is the TV program that you're creating. And so when you play your timeline, where you're going to make your final video, it's going to show up here in the program panel. So this is the basic situation that we have here in Premiere, so you kind of know where most important things are. Now, the other thing I want you to know before we get into trimming up this video is I want you to be able to get around, this timeline here. So we're going to talk about how to do that. We're going to practice a little bit. So first, if you're following along here, I want you to go to your project panel, and then I want you to go to like the main project panel tab that has, kind of the high level view with all of the assets we have here. And then I want you to go to these two bins here. Shift click them, bin number 2 and bin number 3, okay? Pick bin number 2 and bin number 3, and then we're just going to drag them down to this timeline panel. Okay, let me find my place in my script so that I don't ramble and I tell you exactly what you need to know. All right. Right, okay, so you need to know how to play this, right? Let's talk about how to play this. So to play your timeline, you're going to press the space bar, and that is going to play and pause your video. So you'll see if I press the space bar, we're playing, press the space bar again, we're paused. Okay, now I want you to notice down here in the timeline, whenever I press the space bar and the video is playing in our timeline, then we've got this line here that is moving along, and this is like wherever this line is where our video is gonna start playing, right? This line is called the playhead because it's got like this little head here at the top that we can click and we can drag around. So I could drag it around to get anywhere in my timeline. And then I could also up here, if I hover my mouse up by these time code numbers, I can click on a certain area, and then that is going to snap my playhead wherever I click, wherever my cursor is. That's not going to happen down here in the timeline. It only happens up here at the top with these time code numbers. Okay. Okay. I also want to point out that we've got this thick dividing line here in the timeline. Now, uh-oh, did it go away? It did, didn't it? Let's see if we can get it to stay on screen. Okay, so above this line, we've got video, and then below this line, we've got audio. Now, it's kind of hard to see that. We're going to make it clear in a second, but for now, I just want you to notice that we've got these different rows here in our timeline, and these rows are called tracks. So we can stack multiple video clips up on these tracks, and then whichever clip is on the highest track, that is the one that's going to cover up and be on top of the lower tracks when we preview our video. We also have audio tracks here, so like right here we've got some speaking audio, and we can stack some music or some sound effects or whatever we want, and then all that audio is going to play at once. Okay, so now let's make it a little easier to see that we've got video on top and audio on bottom. I want you to hover your mouse at the top of this first video track, and you're going to drag it up, and then you'll see we've got previews, and we can do that for the audio down below. And so we could also double click here to the left of the track, and that's going to expand or collapse our track. Now, we're going to expand things though, because we want to make sure we're seeing what we're working with. That makes it easier. All right, I also want you to notice this bar down here. I can click the end of this bar and drag it, and then I'll zoom out so you can see this clearly. I can zoom all the way in, super close, or I can zoom all the way out to see the big picture. The other thing that this bar lets us do is it lets us, it's a scroll bar, so we can go side to side, left to right. But I usually don't mess with this bar because there's a faster way. I go over to this toolbar here, and you see we've got this tool called the hand tool, which you can also get to by pressing the H key, and that is just going to let me grab my way right and left in my timeline. And so that is super fast. All right. Now, once you have this hand tool though, like I can't click any of my clips. So I need to get back to our default tool, which is the selection tool, which lets us select clips. And you'll notice if I hover my mouse over that selection tool, that the shortcut for the selection tool is the V key. And the way that I remember that is if you think of an upside, or oops, let's get that to stay. If you think of what a V looks like, it kind of looks like an upside down pointer, which is, the icon for our selection tool. And so I always think V, upside down pointer, that's my pointer, my selection tool. All right, so H for hand tool, V to get back to the selection tool. And then now I want to talk about arrows on the timeline. So we have a left arrow that you can, let's get that to say, a left arrow and a right arrow. Okay, the left arrow is going to go left on your timeline, the right arrow is going to go right on your timeline, and it's going to do that frame by frame. And if you don't know what a frame is, that's just an image in your video, because a video is really just a bunch of images that are smushed together like a flip book. And so what that means is that going left and right is going to take you really slowly through your timeline, and it's great if you need to get to, an exact spot. So I'll go to an action clip here, and I'll show you pressing the right arrow, and we're just inching along, and we can get exactly where we want. And if I press the left arrow, it's going to do the same thing, but to the left. Now, that's great if we want to be precise, but if we need to get somewhere in our timeline, that's going to take a minute. And so the other arrow keys that we have an up arrow key and a down arrow key, right? The up arrow key is going to go this way on your timeline. So you can think, it's going to take you to the beginning of your timeline. It's kind of like when you press up to go to the top of a page. And then the down arrow is going to the right, like you're going to the end. And this is going to be much faster because it's going to go clip by clip. Okay, so what that means is it's going to take us to the beginning and the ends of clips right in between. All right, so I'll show you that. So if I press the up arrow, we're going toward the beginning and we're jumping between clips. And if I press the down arrow, we're going toward the end of our timeline and we are jumping between clips, right? Okay, make sure I'm still live. I'm still here. I'm still on the internet. Cool. Okay. So now, is that everything I want to tell you about? Oh, no. There's a couple last things that are super, super efficient for getting around the timeline. Okay. So now what I want to tell you about is I want to tell you about how to use shortcut keys to get around the timeline. And I know that when you're just learning a program, it can be hard to learn shortcuts, and you're like, I don't even want to get into that. I'll just, go up in the menus because I'm trying to get my bearings. But I promise if you just take a little bit of time in the beginning to learn some of these shortcuts, it can go a really, really long way. It's going to save you so much time in the long run. So I've got a couple shortcut keys that I use, but I've kind of customized things on this in Premiere. So in Premiere, the shortcuts are spread out across the keyboard here. Okay, and that's cool, that's great because there's a ton of them, but the problem is that means that like about half of the shortcuts are on this side of the keyboard. Now I don't love that, and the reason that I don't love that is because I'm right-handed, and so my right hand wants to live right over here on the mouse, and then my left hand wants to be over on this side of the keyboard, right? So that means if I want to get to these shortcuts, my right hand's got to go over here, or my left hand's got to go over here. That's not as efficient. Everybody wants to stay where they're at and then get done what they need to get done and be super efficient. And so it would be ideal if, all of the shortcuts that I use the most were right here under this hand, right? And so that's why I've customized things for some of the most important ones. So I'm going to show you how I have customized these shortcuts in case you're interested in doing the same thing. All right, so earlier I was talking about how we zoom, right? You're going to be zooming a lot in and out on the timeline. And, you need to see the big picture and then you need to get to a certain clip. So ordinarily the zoom keys in Premiere are right over here. But again, we want them on the left side. Oops. And so I've reset them to be on that left side. All right, this drawing's not to scale, y'all. Okay, so I've reset them to be the R key and the T key. So these are our zoom keys, and the way I remember this is The R key is the zoom in. So I always think, take me to this specific clip. Okay, and then did I say R? The T key. The T key is for zoom in. Take me to this clip. The R key is our zoom out key, and I think retreat. R for retreat back and see the big picture. Right. The other shortcut key that I've set under my left hand that I use all the time, super easy to remember. Oh, I faded it out, but I'll show you. Oops. I'm going to make it work one day. All right, it's the F key. So the F key is how you're going to fast forward on your timeline. If you press it once, you're going to go at normal speed. If you press it twice, you're going to go double speed, triple speed, quadruple speed. I don't know what the next one is. Y'all tell me in the chat. But anyways, you can just go on up and do this as many times as your computer can handle. So now that we know, all right, we want to customize these shortcuts because we're going to use them a lot. We want them under our left hand. If we're right-handed, if you're not, I'm sorry, you can do it the opposite or leave them the way they're at. So let's talk about how to customize keyboard shortcuts in Premiere. We're going to go up to this top window here. Get my mouse in the right place so it zooms in right. Called Premiere Pro, the Premiere Pro menu here. And then we're going to go down to where it says keyboard shortcuts. All right, when we do that, we're going to get this window right here that has all the settings for our keyboard shortcuts that we can customize everything. And where we're going to go is right here to this search bar. All right, that's going to let us search for a certain command that we want to customize the shortcut for. What we're going to do, remember we're customizing our zoom shortcuts. And so you're going to go type in zoom and you're going to look for these shortcuts right here that say zoom in and zoom out. Then whatever keys are here under the shortcut, you can just X those out and you can put T for zoom in, take me to that clip, and then R for zoom out, retreat back. Okay. Then the other one that we're going to customize is called shuttle. That's our fast forward command because when you shuttle, like if you took a shuttle bus, that's going to get you somewhere a lot faster than if you were just walking. So shuttling is how we get somewhere fast on the timeline. And for fast forward, when we go forward on the timeline, we're going right. So we're going to look for shuttle right. Whatever key is here, you can X that out and you can put F. And then you can customize these if you want. Okay, so after we do that, let's test out our new shortcut keys. We're going to retreat back and zoom out by pressing the R key. Everything else, right hand's on the mouse, it's all good. We're going to press T to be taken to a specific clip to zoom in. So R, zoom out, T to zoom in. And then the other one we just customized is our fast forward. So if we press F once, we're going at normal speed. Again, double, triple, quadruple. I don't know if this is streaming back anymore because I don't want to stress my computer, but you get the idea. Okay. All right. Now, let me make sure I am where I want to talk about. Okay, I know. So now that we've covered a lot, I know we're just starting out, but I've covered a lot. So that was a lot of shortcuts. So let's just review real fast. H for the hand tool. It's going to let you grab your way around the timeline. V to get back to the selection tool, which looks like an upside down pointer. Up and down to go to the last clip or the next clip. Left and right is going to take you left and right frame by frame really slowly. And then spacebar to play or stop your timeline. FF to fast forward. T to zoom in and be taken to a clip. And R to zoom out or retreat back. So I also want to tell you that if you're like, okay, cool, I kind of get them now, but I'm not going to remember this later. I have a cheat sheet. It's a one-page cheat sheet because there's so many shortcuts in Premiere. And this just has the ones that I think are the most essential ones to learn first to really give you, a leg up and a foundation for editing quickly. I mean, it's exponentially faster if you just use some of these. This is available in the recap guide, which is linked down below in the description. And if you go to that and you click on the timeline section, a lot of these are related to the timeline, you'll find the link for this shortcuts cheat sheet. Okay. Now I want to check in with y'all and make sure that, if anybody has a question that hasn't been answered or you want me to repeat or clarify something, y'all let me know in the chat. Also, feel free to throw some of these emojis in the chat and give me some feedback on the speed. And I am going to just wait a second because there's a 15-second delay between what I say and when y'all are hearing me. Loving those shortcuts. Yes. Glad to hear it. Especially when you're just beginning a program. I think it's awesome to really try to get those in the beginning. All right, so the recording of this is available later, and it's going to be on YouTube, like Adobe Care said. The The screen annotation app is called Screen Brush for Mac, right? Thank you, Caroline. Okay. I'm just going through and seeing if anybody wants me to repeat anything. Y'all let me know. All right, cool. We got some thumbs up. Awesome. Do I rename all of my clips beforehand? I do. I rename them on my computer. I'll go ahead and go back to my screen so you can see that. Yay. Okay, cool. Okay, things are coming in feedback. I guess y'all are hearing me now. Oh, thank you. The way you teach is thorough and helpful. I appreciate that a lot because it's hard to know exactly the balance. So that is great to hear. Okay, so do I rename my clips beforehand? Somebody said I do. So ordinarily, I'll make sure that I give every single clip a unique name because in case there's a problem and we need to relink some files later, I don't want a million files on my computer that are just like, 0001.mp4. That's a nightmare. So ordinarily, I will go into Mac and I will rename my clips here on my computer and then give it a specific name. So, a lot of times I'll just like add some text with the date and then the device name and then do it that way. So that makes sure everything gets a unique name. And then I won't rename them in Premiere, although you can do that. You can totally look at a shot and then just press the Enter key and rename it to whatever you want. That's not going to rename it on your computer, but it can be helpful if you want to stay organized, in Premiere. Okay. Now we're going to move on. And so at this point, let's go back to my face for just a second. What we've done is you've gotten a tour of the interface. You know how to get around the timeline so you're not lost when we're editing this video. And so now we're going to start editing it. The first step to editing is we want to make sure we're not just dragging any old file to the timeline because there's going to be some dead time. There's going to be some time where maybe I was setting up my camera, or maybe I messed up. We want to trim out the perfect excerpt and add it to our timeline. So then when we're looking at our timeline, we're only seeing, what we need to see and we're able to really see our story. So that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to go back to the screen. Okay, if you're following along, remember we dragged all this footage down here just to play around and figure out what was going on. I want you to select all of that footage on your timeline and then press the backspace key. You're just going to delete it. And then let's press the up arrow to go to the beginning or the top of our timeline so that we start right here. All right, then let's go over to our project panel. And you remember earlier, if you were following along, you double-clicked that bin of intro shots and opened it up in a new tab, right? And then you go down to the bottom left to our view options and make sure you put that in icon view so that we can see previews of our videos. That's going to make it really easy to trim, right? So we're going to zoom in here and start trimming. I want you to click on your project panel and then hover your mouse over this footage. And you'll see we don't even have to click this footage and we're getting a preview if we just hover from left to right, which is awesome. And I can see what's going on with this shot. So I'm going to zoom, or I'm going to hover, and I can see I'm kind of setting up my shot right here, right? And then right here is where it's taking off and it's moving. So I want the shot to start right here. So in video, wherever you want a shot to start, that's called the endpoint. The reason it's called the endpoint, that's where the shot is coming in. It's kind of like coming in and entering the room. So to tell Premiere, this is where I want this shot to start, we are going to press the I key to set the endpoint. And then on the other side, the out point is where we want the shot to go out or to end. And we're going to press the O key. Okay, so I and O is how you set the in and out point for a shot. So let's go ahead and use that. Hover to preview, I to set the endpoint. Let's make this stop like right here. O to set the out point, that's where we want the shot to go out. And now I want you to notice right here, we've got this little line, and this showing, this is the excerpt that you've trimmed out. Everything before this has been cut off, everything after has been cut off. So you'll notice too, when, I'm still in this. When I drag this to my timeline, I'm gonna play it back. Look, none of that dead time at the beginning is there. It's only the excerpt we trim. But if we change our mind later, this is not forever. We can, nothing's been lost. And so that's good. But we got it trimmed up right. So we're going to leave it right there. All right, now we're going to go back and repeat that. So make sure you click on this project panel here. And then we'll just go through this again. Hover. Let's make the start here. I to set the endpoint. O to set the out point. click to select. And now this time, instead of dragging this all the way over to the timeline, because that took forever, right? We're going to do it faster. So we're going to click back on this project panel. We got our clip here trimmed up, and I'm just going to press the comma key. And whenever I press this comma key, whatever clip is here selected in the project panel, it's going to get added to my timeline right after this playhead. Okay, so comma, comma, comma. Now it's getting inserted on the timeline is what's happening. So let's say I put my playhead right in the middle of this shot right here. I'll make it yellow just to make it clear. Okay, now if I try to insert this clip on the timeline, it's going to split that clip in two, right? So just keep that in mind, comma to insert. All right, so now I've added the shot a bazillion times. So I'm going to delete that, press the down arrow to go to the bottom or toward the end of my timeline, and then I'll press the comma key to insert that next clip. Now, just in case you forgot to go over here and click this project panel and you accidentally had your timeline panel selected and you hit the I key and the O key and you've got this situation on your timeline and you're like, no, I don't know what I did. I broke Premiere. Don't worry. You set an in and out point on your timeline. So you're trimming an excerpt on your timeline, but we don't want to do that right now. And so if you have this, if you see this, don't panic. Just right click and go to clear in and out. And then boom, crisis has been averted. Okay. I also want you to know over here, we're going to zoom in. We're going to hover. Let's say, actually, maybe I'll go down to a longer shot. Let's say in this shot, like I want the beginning of it. I'll press the I key and the O key. I'll click to select. I'll press comma to insert. And then let's say I don't just want something here. I also want something at the end of my timeline or the shot. I could also go to the end of it. Let's say I just want to speed to here. I'll press I, O, and I've reset the in and out point. So I'm trimming a new excerpt from the same clip, and then I'll press comma to insert. And so I can do that as many times as I want. Okay. Now, I do want to say, like, if you learn these shortcuts, I mean, you can kind of see hover, I, O, click to select, comma to insert. It's so super fast. So I would definitely practice those. I know that in the beginning, it's, hard to remember everything. So I do just want to say, if you're like, I don't know how I'm going to remember this sequence, well, I got you. I wrote an entire rap song and filmed an entire music video that's super silly, completely dedicated to this trimming sequence. I am not telling you it's the best song. It's not the best song you're ever going to hear. Okay, I ain't trying to be a rapper, but I am trying to help you remember these trimming shortcuts, and so they will get stuck in your head after you hear this. So that's there if you're interested. And also, all the shortcuts that I'm talking about are in that shortcuts cheat sheet, which again is in the recap guide if you go to the timeline section of that guide. All right, let me make sure I'm in the right spot for y'all. Okay, now, yes. So we're going to go back to the screen. All right, remember we talked about we trim clips over here in the project panel, but the other one we're going to trim them in is this panel here called the source panel. This is where we're going to see things closer up. So I want you to take a piece of source footage over here and double click it, and you'll notice that it shows up in the source panel. Now in this source panel, we can press all of our shortcut keys pretty much. So we can press the space bar to play and to pause. We can also press FF to go fast forward. We can press the T key to zoom in, be taken to a clip, R to retreat back. We can press the I key. Actually, I don't want it to start there, do I? Let's have it start right here. I key, O key to set our in and out points. We can press the comma key to insert on our timeline. Or we can also drag to our timeline. So to drag, we're just going to drag from anywhere up here in this preview screen, and then that's going to add it to our timeline. And also, just for a second here, I'm going to go to a speaking clip to show you one more thing. So if a clip has audio, that other one didn't have audio, but this one does, and we drag from this preview screen, it's going to add both. Let me scoot over to make sure you can see. It's going to add both the video and the audio from that clip, so everything that clip contains. But let's say, the speaking audio, like I don't want to hear, I had some bad audio, and I just want to include the video, then I can go to these icons here, and I can drag from here to just take the video or the audio. So you'll see, if I drag from here, it's just the video. Or if I drag from here, then it's just the audio, right? Okay, so that is how to trim clips. Yeah, I'm just making sure I covered everything. So that is how to trim clips in Premiere, both using the project panel and the source panel. So now I just do want to check in with y'all. Y'all let me know if there's anything that you want me to repeat or go over, if you want me to go faster, slower, whatever. There is a delay, like I said, so if you need to drink some water or stretch or anything, y'all do that, because self-care is definitely important when you're coming to video editing. Yes, let me see. Okay, yes, thank you, Adobe Care. The link for the shortcuts cheat sheet is right there. All right, let me get over here and scroll up in this a little bit. The song is amazing. Thank you, Megan. Okay, let's see. Hover scrubbing, yes. Oh, thank you for the feedback. Okay, is it possible to trim in the source window? Yes, it is. Y'all saw that. All right, I agree. The new captioning feature is amazing. I just tested it out for the other day, and the transcription is insane. If you totally messed up your layout, then see if you can, actually, let me bring this back up. Keep going, yes. The link to the song, I'll go back a second, is marybetsy.com/shortcuts-song. Okay, cool. Thanks for the feedback on the speed. Cool. So I am going to jump over here to my screen real fast and show you, if you did mess up your layout, you can go up to this top window menu, and then you can go to Workspaces, and you can go to Assembly. If you do that and you're like, no, it still looks messed up, then I think you can go here to Reset to Saved Layout. I believe that should get you back to the default. Okay. And then if you're still confused, you can always just go up in the window menu and manually add all these panels. So right now we've got a timeline panel, we've got a program panel, we've got a source panel, and we've got a project panel. All right, so let's move on. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to trim some of these clips efficiently. But right now we've kind of been playing around, learning. We've made a mess. That's cool. We were learning. So what I want you to do is I want you to, if you're following along, select all the clips on your timeline and delete them. Then press the up arrow to go to the top or the beginning of your timeline. And then you're going to go over to your project panel. And we're going to go to this bin of intro shots, and you're just going to go with that hamburger menu at the top right and go to close panel. All right, now we're back in our main top level project panel here. And then I want you to go to the second bin here called intro shots edited, and just click that. And then you're going to drag that entire bin onto your timeline, and bam, we just cheated a little bit and fast forwarded in this edit. So now all these intro clips are trimmed up perfectly. So now we're going to press the T key, which is our zoom in shortcut for take me to that clip. And then I want you to just see, I'm going to kind of just go through these intro shots. Look at this. We've got some fire intro shots here. Okay, this is going to grab people's attention. This is going to get people to be like, I want to watch this video. We're going to get some thumbs to stop. And then now at the end, we've got this epic shot here with my partner, you know, catching this little glasses case, which is one of the tips. Now I want to come in and like actually tell people what this video is about now that I got their attention. So we're going to add some speaking shots. So I'm going to press the R key to retreat back and zoom out. Now, if you're following along, you're going to grab bin number 3 called speaking shots. Okay. And you're going to drag that entire bin onto your timeline right after those intro shots. Okay. Now these speaking shots are not trimmed up. All right. We've got some downtime. We need to get them right. And I know you're like, Mary, you told me earlier, we don't want to just be dragging untrimmed clips onto our timeline. I know. But when I am trimming clips with audio, I really like trimming them on the timeline. It's super easy because you'll notice that we have these previews here where we see, you know, these little visuals that tell us what's going on with the audio. These are called audio waveforms. I'm trying to drag this down a little bit. Okay. So now if you're like, I don't see the audio waveforms, then I want you to go to this little wrench here in your timeline panel, and then go up to where it says show audio waveform and just make sure that that's checked. Okay. Now let's go back down here because I'm going to show you, if you're like, cool, I got the audio waveforms up, but I don't know what they mean. That's okay. We're gonna talk about it. So when the audio waveform is flat, there's not going to be any sound. So if you can think of a heart monitor, they also show an audio waveform. And when they're flat, the heart's not beating, except in Premiere. Nobody's dead, and so that's a good thing. So that it just means that I wasn't talking. And so you'll see if I play this back, no sound, right? But then, of course, over here, we've got these nice ups and downs, and that's where, I was talking because my voice was going up and down when I was talking. So I'll play that back. Let's talk about video gear because it can get out of control real quick. All right, and then over here, you'll notice I've got these 2 tall single spikes. I'm not going to play that back because I don't want to hurt your ears if anybody's got headphones on, but this is where I've clapped. And the reason that I'm clapping while I'm recording is because I have a little trick to make it really easy to and quick to trim speaking audio. So when I am talking and I'm filming a line, let's say I totally screw up the line, I clap once. And then when I nail it, I clap twice. And then I can just look for a single or double spike and find exactly what I need to trim in my timeline. So I'll go back here and look, it's really obvious, right? That this right here is our good take. I was kind of mumbling right here. Okay, so this is what I want to trim out. So then, of course, to do that, I could just go over here and then I could drag this clip in to the beginning where I want it to start and drag it on this side where I want it to end. And then I've got these gaps here. That's cool. We're just going to click them, press the backspace key, and we're going to delete them. Okay, awesome. So that's cool, really easy and intuitive. But the only thing that wasn't really nice about that is that we have to click and delete these gaps. That was kind of a pain. So we want to avoid that. So we're going to use a tool to avoid that. And that tool, let me adjust just a little bit because I don't think my back's going to make it. Okay, so the tool that we want to use is called the Ripple Edit tool. All right, now if you're not paying attention, I want you to wake up because this, if you don't remember any other tool in Premiere, this is the one I want you to remember. The Ripple Edit tool, if I hover over this, you're going to notice the shortcut for this is the B key. The reason it's the B key is because this tool is going to put you in beast mode. Okay, it's going to make editing so much faster than if you're just using the selection tool. So we're going to click this. I want you to notice what happens on our timeline when we have this. Actually, first I'm going to go back to the selection tool because I want you to see. All right, if I click this clip and I try to extend it, it's not letting me go anywhere. If I click the Ripple Edit tool, it's not going to say, yo, you're at the end of the road. It's actually going to let me extend it. And the same thing on this side, if I were trimming this and I'm like, okay, I want this clip to end here, obviously, we know that because of the waveform, it's going to scoot everything down. So there's no gap. So like whatever I'm doing with this Ripple Edit tool, you'll see everything else on the timeline is following suit. So it's causing this ripple effect. So every other clip is rippling. That is just so efficient because we don't have to deal with gaps and we don't want to deal with gaps. Now the only downside to this Ripple Edit tool here is I have to do a lot of dragging, all right? And I'm an 80s kid, so my shoulder ain't brand new. And if I'm dragging the mouse all the time, that's gonna hurt my shoulder after a while. And so if I could avoid the dragging, I would love to do that. And there's a shortcut in Premiere, of course, that's going to help you do that. So I'm going to switch over here to my slides and tell you about this shortcut. These are probably my favorite shortcuts in Premiere. So the shortcuts we're going to use are called the Q and the W key. The way they work is, let's say you have a clip on your timeline, obviously. You're going to put your playhead where you want the clip to start. And then you want to trim off everything before that, right? You're just going to press the Q key and bam, it's gone. And there's not going to be any gap to delete. The same thing on the other side, but with the W key, put your playhead where you want it to end. Everything after the playhead is going to get trimmed off. And then you're going to press the W key and then bam, that end of the clip is gone and there's no gap. So these are super efficient. So let's jump back to Premiere and we're going to use these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete everything on my timeline, press the up arrow to go right here. And then I'm just going to drag all these shots again. I'm going to show you how fast it is to use these. All right. Put my playhead where I want this to start. I'm going to press the Q key. Bam, the beginning's gone. Where I want it to end, W key, Q, W. Then right here, I've got a single spike, so I know this is a bad take. So I'm going to go right here, Q, W, bad take, good take, Q, W. Hey, we're done. We're done trimming speaking audio. That was so fast. I didn't have to waste my time listening to all the bad takes. I didn't have to traumatize myself listening to all the times I messed up. And now we can move on with our life. So those are really, really fast. Now, there are a couple other things that I want to show you down here in this timeline before we move on. I'm just going to find my space in my script. Here we go. So the other thing I want you to know about is this tool over here called the razor tool. This is going to let you cut clips. So you can also think C for cut. That's the shortcut to get to this tool. And when we have this tool, we can cut our clips. So this is useful if, you know, you have something maybe like at the beginning of this clip and then the end of this clip, and you want to use both of those. You're going to need to cut that clip and split it. And so you can do that with this razor tool. And then the last thing I want you to know is, let's say we want to get rid of this clip. We want to delete it. Well, we can press the backspace key. All right, cool. But then we've got the gap. We hate the gap because we got to delete it every time. So we don't want to delete it every time. That's double the work. So what we could do is we could also select this clip. We could right click it, and then we could go to this option here. Actually, let me scoot over. I don't know if I'm covering it up. So we could go to this option here called ripple delete. And when we do that, you'll notice it deleted the clip, but there's no gap. So I'll do that again so you can see it's going to delete this clip and there's no gap left. Beautiful. But that's not really going to save us any time, right? Because we got to right click and go into this ripple delete menu, or this, you know, it's just taking so much time. So what I've done is I use a shortcut key, of course. That shortcut key, the default one, is on the right side in Premiere on the keyboard. I don't want to deal with the right side of the keyboard if it's something I'm doing all the time. I've reset it to be under my left hand, and I've set it to the X key, which is super easy to remember, X to ripple delete. All right, so we're just going to go up and customize that real fast in case you want to. You're going to go to the Premiere Pro menu up here. Then you're going to go to the keyboard shortcuts menu. And then we've got, you know, our keyboard shortcut settings, right? We're going to go to the shortcut or this little search bar here, and we're going to type in ripple delete. That's the command we're trying to customize. You're going to X out whatever is right here, and you're just going to put the X key. All right. All right. When you have that customized, you're going to click OK. And now on my timeline, you'll see I'm going to select a clip, press the X key, and it's gone. Select a clip, X key, and it's gone. Okay. So that's really fast. You can see how the shortcuts really make things more efficient. All right. I think now I want to pause and do a little recap since I've thrown a lot of shortcuts at you. All right. So B, it's going to put you in beast mode to get the ripple edit tool. That's going to let you drag the ends, the edges of your clip in or out, and then you're not going to have any gaps, right? Then C for the cut or the razor tool, if you want to cut a clip or, you know, split it. Then V to get back to the selection tool. Looks like an upside down pointer. Let me get to my right menu here. Q is going to trim off the front of the clip, and then W is going to trim off the end, and then X to ripple delete. Okay, if your head is about to explode, don't forget shortcuts cheat sheet. Everything I just said is on there. All right, y'all. We got to stop. We need to have a moment. I need to congratulate you, okay? Because at this point, you're basically halfway to being an expert in Premiere. So congrats, because like you've learned the foundation. These are really the fundamentals that are going to make you a fast editor. And so if you are excited about all the stuff you've learned so far, if you're excited about how fast you're going to be editing, if you are hyped for the rest of the webinar, I want you to let me know, okay? I want you to blow up that chat box with some celebration emojis. I want to see some high fives, you know, like some balloons, some party hats, whatever you're feeling. Don't be shy about hitting that like button down under the video and let YouTube know that you are loving this webinar. And yeah, you've just learned so much. But y'all, we are not done yet. We have so much more to cover. So before we move on, I do want to know if anybody has any questions. Y'all let me know. If you want me to repeat anything, let me know. I'm going to drop in this chat box real fast. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to redo or say. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit. I've been ripple deleting everything manually. I know it's painful. It is painful to realize there's some things in Premiere that I had been doing the wrong way for years. And I just think, man, like I could have saved so much stress in my life. Fire emojis. I love to see that. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm glad everybody is loving what they're learning. The session is a game changer. That is what I'm going for, y'all. Yes. Q and W keys. Oh, y'all are jinxing each other. Okay, cool. Yay, the double clap. I love the double clap. That was a game changer for me. Okay. All right, it looks like people are doing well. Okay. And Adobe cares on top of that. Oh my gosh, the celebration emojis are rolling in. Oh, this is like the delight of my life when I see that, y'all. Seriously. Okay. All right, so now we're going to jump back in Premiere and keep going on this edit. I don't know why my chair is acting up today. Okay, so let me get back in my screen. I'm going to drink a little water too. All right, so now that we've been learning these things, make sure I'm in the right spot here. Okay, so now that we've been learning these things, of course, when we're learning, we make a mess on our timeline. And so what we want to do is let's finish up our speaking shots. We're going to cheat a little bit. If you're following along, just delete all those speaking shots on your timeline. Then I want you to press the up arrow, and then you're going to go back over to the project panel, and you're going to select this fourth bin here called Speaking Shots Edited. That's going to have all the speaking shots edited just right. So just drag that fourth bin onto your timeline after these intro shots, and bam, everything is just how we want. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, if we look at this, you'll see this is a lot of just showing my face. All right, I know I'm adorable, but I don't want to show my face the whole time because that's going to get kind of boring. I want to show some visuals related to what I'm talking about. And I also, want to cover up these little seams here where the camera's jumping. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add some accompanying visuals, and we're also going to add some effects to them. All right, so I'm going to go over here in your project panel. If you're following along, I want you to go to the fifth bin here called Final Shots, and I want you to double click that. When you double click it, it's going to open up in a new tab here, and then go to icon view so we can see what we're working with. I'm going to make this a little bigger. All right, cool. Now, since we didn't really listen to our speaking clips, let's play them back so we know what I'm talking about. So I'll go to this first clip here, and I'm going to play it back. Let's talk about video gear because it can get out of control real quick. Okay, so when I say it can get out of control real quick, I want to show a visual of some out of control gear. So I'm going to go to this first shot here, and you'll see I've got some gear that is fallen and it is out of control, okay? So what I want to do is I want to play the shot of the gear falling at normal speed, and then I want to play it back in reverse at super speed, like double speed. So we're going to go on our timeline to the second part of this clip. So right here is where I say that line. It can get out of control real quick. So now I'm going to just drag this clip onto track 2, and then it's going to cover me up on track 1. And that's what I'll do a lot of times. I'll put my speaking on track 1, and then I'll put accompanying visuals on track 2. Now I'm going to double click track 2 here at the beginning to get it to expand, to show us our preview. All right, now what I want to do is I want to duplicate this clip, and I want to reverse it and put it in fast forward. So to duplicate a clip in Premiere, you are just going to hold down the Option key or the Alt key, Option if you're on a Mac or Alt if you're on Windows, and you're going to keep holding that key down, and then you're going to drag that clip over. And bam, we've got a duplicate. So I always think like I want to create another option or alternative version of this clip. All right, so now we want to reverse this clip and speed it up. To do that, we're going to make sure that we click on this clip, then we're going to right click it, and then we're going to go to Speed Duration. When we do that, we're going to get a pop-up menu that has come up on, let me scoot this over here a little bit, on my other screen. So I'll drag it over here. All right, this settings window for speed is pretty self-explanatory. So let's just increase the percent of speed. We'll put it at 200%. And then I'm going to check this reverse speed box, and I'll click OK. And then you'll notice because this clip has gotten faster, it's also gotten shorter. And so now let's play this back, and I'll show you what this looks like. Let me put it over here so I'm not covering it up. Let's talk about video gear because it can get out of control real quick. So cute. All right, y'all, we are talented. All right, we're going to go to the second clip and play it back and see what visuals we want to add here. The last thing you need when you're on a deadline is to be scrambling around trying to find some piece of gear. All right, so when I say, scrambling around trying to find some piece of gear, I've got some visuals for that. So we're going to go to shot 2 over here, Scrambling M&M, Marianne Miles, that's my partner's name. And you'll see we're scrambling around. And then this third shot, Scrambling Hands, My husband is scrambling and looking for a piece of gear. So shift click both of those in the project panel and then just drag them over to track 2 and bam. Now after this, I want to put a couple shots. I want to insert a couple shots of my partner and me with some audio. So I'm going to get right on this seam right here. And now I'm going to click number 4, double click that. Let's play it back in the source panel with audio.
How does this stuff just disappear?
And then number 5. Like, where does it even go? All right, so we want to insert those. And so we're going to shift click both those, number 4 and 5. And then y'all know to insert, we press the comma key. There we go. And then they're inserted right wherever our playhead was. Now, I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to show you another way to insert clips on your timeline is to hold down the Command key if you're on Mac or Control key if you're on Windows, and you're going to keep holding that down. And then you'll see when I drag this to the timeline, I get these little right arrows at the playhead, and that means everything else is going to shift down to the right, and it's going to be inserted. Okay? So now let's play that back and see what we've done. The last thing you need when you're on a deadline is to be scrambling around trying to find some piece of gear.
How does this stuff just disappear?
Like, where does it even go? Yes. Oh, that looks so good. All right. Now, for this clip right here, I'm just saying, yo, this is what the video is about. It's about organization tips. And then we're going to skip to this shot right here. I'm going to give the first tip that I have for organizing your gear. Tip number 1 is to use these wall hangers for your grip equipment. So when I say wall hangers, like, I have no idea what I'm talking about here. Well, I do, but the audience does it. And so I want to show what wall hangers I'm talking about. So we're going to go to shot number 6, these grip wall hangers, and this is what I'm talking about. So they're actually meant for guitar hooks. I don't own a guitar. I was like, you have a different purpose in life for all my tripods. And so now we're going to add this to our timeline. So I'm just going to pop it here on track 2. I'm going to zoom in here, though, because look at you hanging over the edge. That is not okay. We're going to drag you back. All right. Uh-oh, did I drag you too far? Yeah, I did. All right, y'all just watch me be a little neurotic here and get that lined up perfectly. Okay, now, I don't want to cover up my face, though, for this shot. I want to show, what I want to do here is we're going to add an effect because I want to create a split screen here. So what I want is I'm going to be on the left side, and then, you know, I want these grip hangers on the right side. And so what that means is I want to crop. I'm going to need to crop these so that it looks like this, and then I'm going to need to scoot this over on the right side for this to work. All right, so the way we're going to do that, if you want, first let's move this into place. So if you want to move something, or you want to scale something, or want to rotate or transform it in Premiere, it's really easy. This is one of those things I did not know for so long, and I was doing it a different way. All you have to do is double click. Oops, double click. Look, we've got a frame. We've got a transform box. Y'all know what these dots means. We can just drag this in. We can rotate, you know, we can move. So easy. It's just like Photoshop or designing, you know, on Instagram, whatever. And so what I'm going to do is I want to scoot this over to the right. I'm going to start dragging, but it's kind of hard to keep things lined up. And so in order to make sure that, you know, this only goes horizontally and not vertically, I'm going to start dragging, and then I'm going to press down the shift key right away. And that's going to make sure this axis stays locked. And so now I'm going to scoot this right over here, and that's looking good. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to double click this other clip of me underneath, and I'm going to scoot me over right about here. And now, okay, this is cool, but it's not going to work because we need to crop this clip. So to crop this clip, we're going to need to add a crop effect. To do that, we're going to go up to the window menu here where we find all our panels, because we're going to need a panel to get that crop effect, and that panel is the effects panel. So you're going to go to the window menu and click effects. That's going to pull up the effects panel. Your effects panel might be showing up in a different spot. That's okay. Drag it wherever you want. And now let's make our program panel a little bigger so we can see what we're doing. Okay, this effects panel is like a little goodie drawer where you can find all sorts of effects that you can add to your clips. And so in our case, we want to add a crop effect, so we're going to search for crop. I've got some of my own presets. These are custom effects I've made based with the crop effect. So you're not going to find those, but you're going to find the default one here under the transform bin in Premiere. You're going to click on that crop effect, and then you're just going to drag it to this clip that we want to crop. Cool. It's been added. Nothing's been cropped though. So what do we do now? All right, to control the settings for this crop effect, we're going to need another panel in Premiere. And that other panel, where we control the settings, we're going to go to the window menu. It is called Effect Controls. This is where we control settings for effects. So make sure you check that, and then it's going to pop up. All right, so now in this panel, you're going to see all the effects that we've got added to a clip, and you'll see we've got our crop effect, and then we can adjust it right here. But what I like to do is just click on the crop effect, and then we can adjust it in the program panel. So that's really easy. So I'll just adjust it right here. All right, I'm losing my voice. Hold on. I'm always trying to gulp away from the mic so that y'all don't have some really loud sound effects in your ears. Okay, so, all right, this looks adorable, but let's make sure we're gonna play it back. Tip number 1 is to use these wall hangers for your grip equipment. Yes, I always like start doing a little dance when I like what I just edited. Okay, so now, y'all, we're done. We're done with the visuals. We've added, you know, accompanying visuals of our speaking shots. We've got an amazing intro. We've got effects. So next up, what we're gonna do, let me just see what we're gonna do in my script to make sure I'm following along. I've kind of been just cruising here. Okay. I wanna check in with y'all, and then I think we're gonna do color after that. Yep, okay. I see a color title with a rainbow emoji in my script. All right, so let's check in. I want to make sure everybody's doing okay. Y'all let me know. Speed okay, going too fast, too slow, anything you want me to repeat, anything that's unclear, any questions you have that haven't been answered, then let me know. I have been editing scale and position in the effects panel. Exactly. That was me for years. Professional video editor. Never knew. I think that's the benefit of really learning things the right way from the beginning. It seems like when you're learning, you know, you're like, oh, it's going to take forever if I watch the whole tutorial or course or whatever. But I wish I had done that in the beginning. Okay. Yes, I'm going to be covering text. I'm just kind of reviewing and seeing what people are saying. All right, it looks like everybody, I don't see any big questions that haven't been answered, and if I missed them, I'm really sorry. Okay, cool. All right, I'm seeing some thumbs up, so let's keep it moving, y'all. Oh, hold on, there was one. Would you recommend not using the other panels? Do you mean the other workspaces? I'm not sure what you're exactly why not using the other panels. I think you're talking about the other workspaces. Okay, I'm gonna hop back in here. You can use, you remember I talked about the workspaces up here. You can definitely use these other workspaces up here. Sometimes they're gonna bring up some extra panels that I'm not gonna cover in this webinar, and so I didn't wanna confuse you, and sometimes they kind of rearrange things, and so yeah, I just wanted to keep it simple. We're just gonna grab what we need from the window menu, but you can definitely go up here into these panels, and you know, you can also go up here and you can save a new workspace. Okay, you can do anything you want here. All right, so now we're gonna move on. Like I said, we got our visuals done. What we wanna do is like make sure that we polish this up and the color is on point. So we're gonna do some color adjustments. All right, so what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna take this program panel where we see our video that's here in the timeline, and I'm gonna drag it on top of the source panel because I kinda wanna see our color up close so that we have a good view of what we're doing. Now, this color, I feel like it's looking a little flat and dull, so I want to jazz this up. And so we're going to grab another panel up here for our color. You could go to the color workspace if you want, but I'm just going to go here, and then we're going to go to this panel right here. It's called Lumetri Color. This is what you want, Lumetri Color. All right, here's our color panel over here. I want to talk a little bit about how this panel works first at a high level. So you're going to see different sections here, and you can click and expand these sections, and each one is going to have settings for, you know, each one of these sections. These sections kind of start, you should kind of start by doing some basic corrections, and then you're going to get creative and add some styles, you know, and then you can get down here and there's some really fancy tools that let you get super, super sophisticated with a color if you want, and pinpointed. And they get more complex. They're a little bit more of a learning curve. You could just live your best life up here in these first two sections and get a lot done though, okay? Ain't no shame in that, and you can always learn the other stuff later. All right, so for now, we're gonna, you know, whatever clip that you've got selected in your timeline, let's expand this basic correction section first. You're gonna see, as I'm adjusting the settings, they're going to apply to that clip only, okay? So I'm just going to maybe make, oh, I do want to point out though, there is a nice beautiful little auto button down here, okay? If you just want to do something real fast, you can click that, and a lot of times it'll do a great job. Sometimes, you know, like any auto button, you might need to tweak it a little bit. So like I feel like the exposure's a little high. I'm looking a little ghosty. And if you don't like what it does, you can click the reset button. All right. So in my case, I am just going to adjust things just a little bit. Maybe I will just, you know, boost these highlights a little bit, and then I'll lower these shadows a little bit and give a little bit of contrast. Cool. I could check over here. You'll see there's a checkbox here that I can check, and I can see the before and the after. All right, so we did some subtle little correction there. Cool. We're not done yet because we're going to add a creative filter. So go down here and click on this second section here called creative. This is kind of like where you're going to find Instagram filters for your images, and you can preview those filters here. So you can click the arrows to preview a look. This in Premiere, they're called looks, creative looks. Those are your filters. So this is showing you what the look is going to look like if it's at 100% max, but we can adjust the intensity. And so what I'm going to do is I have found one that I kind of like here called S Big LDR. If you want to do exactly what I'm doing, you can find that one, S Big LDR. And then to apply this effect, this look to our clip, we're just going to double click it, and bam, there it is. All right, and now I'm just going to lower the intensity a little bit because I'm thinking that was kind of intense. And you know what, Premiere, maybe you were right. You know, maybe I did need to be a little better exposed here. Okay, so I'm thinking that that is looking really cute. I'm popping right now. Right? What I want to do now is obviously I want to add these settings that we've done here to the rest of my clips. Like I definitely want to add them to all the speaking clips, but I want to add them to all these clips. Obviously, you'll see that whenever this Lumetri color panel is open, wherever my playhead is going, whatever clip it's on, that's automatically selected. Because remember, whatever clip's selected, that's what settings you're adjusting over in Lumetri Color. So Premiere is trying to make it real easy for you. You don't have to click and select that clip every time. Ideally, we had a bazillion-dollar budget and a team of 1 million colorists who are going to perfectly adjust every clip. But let's just say, you know what? I loved what we did here. We got to keep it moving, get this video up on YouTube. I want to apply this to the rest of my timeline. That's really easy to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this clip that we've done the settings for. We're going to go up then into the Lumetri Color panel. We're going to go to the top right hamburger menu, and then we're going to go to Save Preset. This is like it's, you know, already prepped and gotten all of our settings preset, and it's going to create an effect for us with these exact color settings. Then we're going to get a dialog box that says, what do you want to name this preset? And let's just call this Gear Org Color. Press Enter. All right, cool. We've got a preset. Where is it now? We're going to find that preset over in the effects panel. It's just a bunch of effects that we've added. So now we're just going to search for Gear Org Color. Here's our preset that we made. Bam. And now we're going to select all of the clips on our timeline. Then we're going to hold down the Shift key and just deselect that one clip where I've already done the color to, because I don't want to double it up and look too popping in that one clip. And now we're just going to drag this preset onto our other clips, and bam, everything has been corrected and everything is popping. Beautiful. All right, y'all, we're done with color. That was super easy. I hope you are thinking as well. I do want to check in, and y'all let me know if you're doing okay. If you're sitting there waiting, because I'm going to wait for a second and see if any questions come in, because that 15-second delay, y'all let me know. What are you looking forward to this year? I know it's been a crazy year, a lot of changes, a lot of unexpected twists and turns. All right, cool. It looks like people are doing well. Beautiful. All right, I'm looking forward to going back home east. I'm going to be visiting my family. I haven't seen them in forever, since the beginning of the pandemic. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to jump back onto my screen. We're going to add some titles and some graphics. What if you wanted to make later changes to the color? That's an excellent question. Actually, I do see that coming through. I'm going to show you another option real fast. Okay, you're kind of calling me out because I am. Is there a different way to isolate color besides using color key cruising? Okay. I'm not sure about isolating color, like the color key. Are you talking about isolating color for a green screen or just for color correction? Okay, so, but first I'm going to go back to this other bake more. Yes. Yes, I'm trying to cook more. All right, so if you want to make later changes, you're trying to, I was saying you're kind of calling me out here because I was trying to give you kind of a shortest way to do this. If you're just learning Premiere, I didn't want to give you a million options, but let's say that you did want to change the color later. That's going to be kind of a pain if you've added this preset to every clip. Then you'll have to go in to every single one and click it and adjust the settings again. So if you didn't want to do that, let me just undo what we did. Okay, so you'll see it took away, you're going to layer, and you're going to go to that. Okay, when you do that, it's going to ask you some questions about the settings. You can just click OK. Cool. You'll see right here in the project panel now, we've got an adjustment layer. What we're going to do with this is we're going to drag it to the very top track of our timeline, and we're going to stretch it across the entire thing. And you'll see it looks like nothing's been added because this is just kind of like a transparent layer. But the way it works is, if I go back to my effects panel here, and then I go to our little preset that we made that's got our settings just perfect, I can drag this onto this adjustment layer. Whatever effects you add to this adjustment layer are going to be applied to any clips that are underneath this adjustment layer. And so that's awesome because then, you know, I can go in and I can change my mind with these settings. And then when I do that, it's going to apply to all of the clips, which is really, really easy. But let me remove the effects we did on that clip earlier so that we don't double up right there. Okay, and then, oh, what was the other question? Is there a different way to isolate color? There are different ways. I'm not sure exactly which, you know, if you're talking about green screening, but down here there's all sorts of ways. So we've got RGB curves, if you're familiar with those from Photoshop. And then we've got a lot of these curves down here, which are really cool. These are some of my favorites. So the way these work is you can sample a color. For example, this is hue versus saturation. So we're going to sample a hue. Let's sample this blue here in my shirt. And then you'll see it showing me. We've got 3 little dots. It's saying, this is the color you sampled. And then I can drag it up if I want to make it more saturated, or down if I want to make it less saturated. So let's drag it up, and you'll see kind of subtle, but my shirt's a little more poppin'. So it depends on whatever you're picking. You know, I could do that over here with this blue. I could drag it up and saturate that picture back there. And you can play around with these. Like I said, you can get real sophisticated and isolate colors here as well. Yeah, the endless options, but we can't get into all of them. And so next up, what we're going to do is we're going to add some titles and graphics because I love graphic design, and I feel like titles and graphics can really add a lot of polish and make your video look fancy. And y'all, we want to make fancy videos. And so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go grab a panel that's going to let us add titles and graphics. All right. So we're going to go to the window menu, and let's go to the Essential Graphics panel. That's the one you're going to pick, Essential Graphics. By the way, when you set up a workspace, Premiere is going to remember, okay, this is the way I want the assembly workspace set up every time. So you could have all these panels up if you wanted and get them arranged how you want. It's going to remember that. Okay, so in this Essential Graphics panel, let's talk about what's going on here. We've got a couple tabs right here. All right, so we've got a Browse tab and an Edit tab. The Browse tab is where we're going to find new and exciting things to add to our timeline. We're going to find templates that we can customize. All right, so I've got a bunch of templates here. These are my templates. These are the templates that I use again and again in my projects. Over here, if you click on Adobe Stock, we can go find new templates and download them from Adobe Stock collection. Then over here, we've got the second tab, which is the Edit tab. This is where we're going to edit templates. We're going to edit templates. We can also create brand new graphics from scratch. And so that's what we're going to do first. Let's just create a simple title using this Edit tab. All right, so to add a title, let's go to our toolbar down here, and we're going to click this tool called the Type tool. So grab the Type tool. Actually, we don't want to add a title over my face, do we? Let's not do that. First, let's go back to the Selection tool. We're going to click on our Timeline panel, and let's press the down arrow and go to the end of our timeline. The reason I want to go to the end of our timeline is because this is the intro for a YouTube video that I'm making, right? So I'm going to make a social media teaser, and I'm going to want to say at the end of it, you want to watch the rest, then come visit my YouTube channel. So this is where we're going to add this title. Now we're going to go back to our type tool here. So grab that type tool, and then when you have it, you're just going to click in the program panel, anywhere in the program panel, and you're going to start typing, and look, we've got a title. All right, so this is not going to be our title. Let's say watch more at. All right, and then I'll grab my selection tool again. And now over in Essential Graphics, you'll see we've got all these options we can edit for this title. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going, let's go grab a font that is a little more my style. Okay, and now we've got a transform bot, so I can size this and I can scoot it right over here. Cool. Okay, now you'll notice that when I created this title up here, this spot on our timeline that was blank before now has a little title clip. Okay, so this clip, Premiere's automatically going to create it whenever you add a title or a graphic. This is a graphics clip. What I love about graphics clips is that we can stack a whole bunch of different titles and shapes and all sorts of layers into this one graphics clip, and it's not going to, you know, stack up. Oops. It's not going to stack up our timeline, you know, and clutter it up. It's going to keep things tidy all in one clip. So obviously we need to add another title to this graphics clip, and to do that we're going to go over to the Essential Graphics panel, and let's go to this new layer menu right here. You're going to click that, and then you're going to go to text, and that's going to create a new text layer here. Okay, so let's edit this, and I'm going to put my YouTube channel deets, which are very real, by the way, and we'll put that right there. And then let's make this a little bolder, and I'll adjust the line height a little bit, and bam, cute. Okay, so that's how you create a basic title in Premiere. We could get much fancier. We could do motion graphics. We could do all sorts of things in here if you want to Google about that. You know, so for example, I could go here and I could create a new rectangle if I wanted. All right, I could move it around. I could change the color. You'll also notice up here we've got all the layers, all the text and layer and graphic layers that are in this graphics clip up here. And I could drag and rearrange them. When I do that, that's going to decide which layer is on top. Okay, and then whichever layer I'm clicking, that's what settings are going to show up here that I adjust. But for now, we're going to get rid of that shape because we just want the simple title, and we are going to hop back over in Essential Graphics over to this Browse tab where we had all this fancy stuff going on because we want to add some fancy stuff. Now, I want to tell you, like the titles, the templates that you find over in the Browse tab, most of the time are they're motion graphic templates. And that's cool because motion graphics look super fancy, and you don't have to have motion graphic skills to add these motion graphic templates to your projects. And then you just added a few settings and it's going to look like you have all these fire skills, right? You'll also often hear these called MOGRTs for short. Okay, so if you hear somebody say MOGRT and you're like, what is that? It's a motion graphic templates. So let's add a motion graphic template to our timeline. I want to add it. You remember when I'm talking and I give that last tip? I want to add a little title here. That's kind of like a section divider saying the name of this tip, right? So let's go in Essential Graphics and let's search for something. We're going to go over to Adobe Stock, and then we're going to click this free box right here. Everybody loves a free box, right? Then I want you to search for retro, because I found a MOGRT that I liked earlier. And if you don't see it, this is the one I like, Retro Media UI Window Title. You can type in that title. All right, now to add this to our timeline, you know, we want to insert it here, remember? And the way we insert is we can press the comma key, but I don't think that works with this panel. Let's try it. Nope. Okay. So the other way we insert is by holding down the Command key or the Control key, depending on if you're on Mac or Windows. You're going to hold that key down, Command if you're on Mac, Control if you're on Windows, and then you're going to keep holding it down while you drag, and then that's going to let us insert. And it's going to shift everything down. This might take a minute because remember, we're dealing with a fancy template here, okay? So we need to let Premiere load all that fanciness. Now, I'm going to just scrub through this, and you'll see, look at this. Look at this animation, y'all. We look so talented. But all we have to do is just fill in the gaps here. So to edit this template, you're going to click it on your timeline. And then as soon as you click it, you're going to see we have jumped over in Essential Graphics to the Edit tab, where we've got all these settings that we can edit. Now, these settings, whichever edit settings show up here, it's all going to depend on your particular template. The Mogurts that you'll download from Adobe stock are part of a marketplace, and then there's individual creators that are creating these, and however many settings they want to give you, that's what you're going to get. In this case, we've got a ton of settings, which I love because I want to be able to control the situation. Okay, so first, why don't we change, well, let's change this image here. Our cat's disappeared, all right? So let's change the image. So we're going to go over here in the settings, and we're going to go to media replacement because we're going to replace that media, and let's replace the window media. You'll see we've got a placeholder here. In order to replace what's in that placeholder, we're just going to drag and drop. So we're going to go over here to this last clip in Final Shots. Okay, this last clip is called Mogurt Media. You're going to grab that, clip number 7, and you're just going to drag it over to that placeholder, and bam. Now our video is there. Beautiful. Okay, now at the top here, you'll notice there's a title. It says, "Who is this?" which is really weird. We don't want it to say that. So we're going to go back over to Essential Graphics. We're going to go to our text controls. You don't have to remember all this. All these are different for every template, right? And so you're going to have to kind of figure it out every time, but it should be, depends on how organized the creator was. We're just going to say grip wall hangers because that's the name of this section, right? We could change things if we wanted. And now you'll see up here in the program panel, bam, it's been repopulated. Cool. And then lastly, we just need to fix this background. I don't think I want to replace it with an image. I'm going to go to background controls here. And then let's not do an image. Let's do a solid color. Okay, that's a little bright. So let's go to the color controls here. Background color. And then I'll change this to something that is a little less extra. Something like that. Sweet. All right, cool. Now let's look at this. I'm going to put my husband's putting that back in the spot, and now I think I want it to end here. Okay, so to trim that, if I want to trim everything after the playhead, we're going to press our shortcut key, the W key, and bam, everything's trimmed and there's no gap. All right, cool. So we have added simple titles, we've added fancy titles, and now everything is looking really polished up. And so next up, now that we're done with the visuals, we want to move on to the audio of our video. I do want to check in if y'all have any questions and let me know. Oh, I love blowing people's mind. Thank you, Brant. I appreciate that. Yeah, they were something that I struggled with for a long time in Premiere as well. Okay. Mogurt with raisins. I've never heard that. I swear I'm always going to think that from now on whenever I hear Mogurt. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to check back in later, so y'all let me know if you have any other questions. I'm just going to scroll up real fast. Okay, how to apply the adjustment layer. It looks like people want to know, and I know there's a tutorial there. Okay, so let me see if I'm on the bottom. Yeah, I'm on the bottom. Okay, so one more time, let's just talk about how to add an adjustment layer. I'll delete it. Do I want to delete it? Yes, let's delete it. Okay. So to add an adjustment layer, go down in your project panel. So remember, your project panel is going to say project and the name of your project, or you might have a particular bin open and you can go there too. And then you're going to go to the bottom right of that project panel and you're going to look for this little new item menu. It looks like a new page, like you're flipping to a new page. You're going to click that and you're going to go to adjustment layer and you're going to click that. Then you're going to get a settings window. It's fine. Just go ahead and click OK. And then you're going to see that adjustment layer showing up in your project panel. Okay. And then you're just going to drag it onto your top track in your timeline. So we've got it right here. Then we're going to stretch it across the top. Okay, so now it's over all the clips in our timeline. And then we're going to go back over to effects where we saved our preset. And, we could add any effect to it, but we're going to add that color preset. And we're going to just drag it to our adjustment layer. And now if we click on our adjustment layer and go to effect controls where it's showing us all the effects that have been added, you'll see we've added that to this clip. And now whatever clips are underneath this adjustment layer are going to have any of the effects applied to it that are on that adjustment layer. Okay. Check back in real fast. Can you go over how to get rid of echoey audio? I can, and your timing is perfect in this. So that's what we're going to cover next. We're going to be talking about audio. I'm going to hop over to this other side of the screen. All right, now that I've bounced over here, let's talk about making people sound good. All right, so let me get to my script so I'll make sure that I know what I want to tell you. Okay, so the first thing is let's pull up our panel. We have a panel that is just for audio. So we're going to go to the window menu up here, and then we're going to go to, what is it called, Mary? We've got it, Essential Sound. Essential Sound is what you want to check, and that's going to pull up your sound panel. All right, so let's go to this panel and let's talk a little bit about what's going on here. We've got 2 tabs, just like before. So we've got a Browse tab. This is where we're going to find new stuff to add to our timeline. So we've got all sorts of music here that we can browse for. We got search filters. It's very exciting. Then we've got the second tab, which is the Edit tab. Of course, this is where we're going to be editing clips that are already on our timeline. All right, so we're going to start here because we already got some audio clips on our timeline, right? We've got, I'm going to just drag this up so we can see our audio. So we've got audio on our timeline, all these speaking clips. So if you're following along, I want you to just select all of those speaking clips, and whatever clips you've got selected, we can select multiple clips here. That's what we're going to adjust over in Essential Sound when we get to the settings. But first, to get to the right settings, Premiere is going to ask us, what type of audio clip is this? All right, so you select a clip, and in this case, it's dialogue. And now it's going to give us dialogue settings. Cool. So we've got different sections that we can click, and we can get to specific settings. But if you want to cheat, you can just go to this preset menu, and there's some options here. You can play around, you can play before and after, see what you like. I really like this podcast voice because a lot of times I'm speaking into a podcast mic, and that does a really good job. And you're going to notice after I do that, look, things are changing down here in the settings. It's automatically adjusting the settings based on that preset. So that's generally what I do. However, you can go through and tweak some of these settings. So you'll see, like right here, this repair section has all sorts. If you were saying how to get rid of background noise, this is the one you want. And you'll see if you kind of, you were saying echo, reduce reverb, that's the one you want. And you can hover over these sections, and they give you really nice, Premiere's like being really friendly and saying, hey, this is what this means. So for example, why don't we just uncheck things for a second here? And I'll show you. I don't know that I have too much noise in this clip. Hopefully not. Oh, these are already trimmed up. I can't trim out, but I'll play it back. Right now, we're not going to put any of these repair filters on our clips. And I'm going to play it back. I think I'm covering this up right now. Here we go. Show you 6 ways to keep your video gear organized and your sanity intact. So there is a little bit of humming in the background. Let me grab one of these that's not edited so we can really hear like the room noise for a second. Here we go. Blah, blah. You hear all that background noise, right? So if I click over here on reduce noise, for example, and I jack it up, that should get rid of a lot of the background noise. I'll jack it up some more. Maybe we want to reduce the rumble. You kind of play around and see, oh, there we go, it's going down. And you can kind of see what's working. Now, let's play this back though. Let's listen to my audio, because the more that you try to eliminate background noise, the more you're going to start eliminating tones from your voice, and you're going to start sounding a little not human. So let's see what it sounds like. And so in this video, I'm going to show you 6 ways. Beautiful. Premiere. I mean, we just like took out a lot of that background noise, and I still sound great. There are other times in programs where I've done it and it's like made me sound really weird and robot-y. So just be aware of that as you're jacking those up. But this is where you want to go. Okay. Now, also another really cool setting here that I love, and it'll automatically do this whenever you do the podcast preset, is, we'll just reset this for a second. This auto match button right here, you can select all the audio clips on your timeline, and let's say some of your clips were super loud and some of them were quiet and you were filming in different locations with different speakers. You click this button and it's automatically going to match the loudness so that nobody's got to grab for the remote or yank their headphones off or something like that. All right, down here at the bottom, if let's say you just want to mute a clip, you can click the mute button here, or you can manually adjust the volume, and then, you know, there's other settings you can play around with as well. But the Essential Sound Panel is where you're going to correct your audio in this Edit tab, right? Now, the other tab, remember we've got here, is Music. So let's add some music. So we're going to go to the Browse tab. That's how we're going to add music. And this music is from Adobe stock. This is a paid service. If you don't have this service, you can do a free trial of it where they're going to give you 10 free songs. But it's a monthly service and you get a certain number of assets. And what I love about this service is that it's really, really seamless, and you're going to see why. Okay, so first, obviously, we can search by mood or genre, all the things. I'm going to type up here hip hop because I like hip hop, and I found this song earlier that I like. Hopefully, it's going to come here. Here it is. So, urban background hip hop. That's the one I like. So now to add this to our timeline, we're just going to drag it. So I'm just going to drag it to track 2. I got to drink some water. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so, and I know you're probably like, she just told me these are not free, so I ain't dragging anything to my timeline. But don't worry, because when you drag it to your timeline, nothing's happening, you're not licensing the song. Adobe wants to make sure that you really love this song before you license it. And to do that, you got to be able to add it to your timeline, and you got to be able to, you know, make sure that it really works and edit it. But actually, first, let's not even add it to our timeline. Let's just see if we like it. We don't even know if we want to drag it yet. That was a lot of work. We're just going to play it here. I love this vibe. I just feel like it fits. It's wonderful. And I want you to notice what happened is it automatically played our timeline when we previewed it back. So we can do that before we even drag this song. And that's happening because there's this really cool feature right down here called Timeline Sync. And whenever this button is checked, then wherever your playhead is on the timeline, it's going to start playing from there as you preview this music. And that's beautiful because before, like when I was working with other music sites online, I would have to download the track. It would have a watermark where somebody would say like stopmusicsongs.com or whatever. And that would be happening every 3 seconds. I could barely even hear the song. I got to import it in Premiere. I've got to drag it to my timeline every single time I want to preview a song. And here it's just seamless, and you know, I can just see whether it works. If I love it, I drag it to the timeline. Haven't licensed it yet. Like I said, you're going to be able to edit with it. You're going to be able to even export with this song. It's not going to be in the highest quality. This is a preview file, but there's no watermark. And then when you're ready, you know, you definitely want to license it before you upload it to some big platform like YouTube or wherever. All you got to do is take your song, right-click it, and then you go up to license. And then it's all done within Premiere, which is nice. But for now, let's make sure we love this song. I'm going to double-click this song in the timeline panel to expand it so we see our waveform. I'm going to go to the beginning of this timeline. I'm going to press the T key to zoom in, take me to that clip. You'll see here at the bottom, at the beginning of the song, it's like flat, so there's not any audio, and so I want to get rid of that because I want this to be thumping from the beginning. So I'm going to take my razor tool. Again, you can get to that by pressing the C key. I'm just going to chop off the beginning. I'm going to delete it by pressing the backspace key, and then I'm going to scoot it over. Cool. Beautiful. Starts right at the beginning. Now I'm going to go over here. I want to show you one more thing. Okay, remember earlier I was talking about spikes, how whenever I clap, there's a spike in the waveform, which makes it easy to see things. That is also going to happen when there's a beat in your timeline. And that makes it easy to make sure, okay, I can see, like right here, there's a beat, you know, right here, there's a beat. And so I want to line up my cuts with that beat to make sure that I'm cutting on the beat. All right, so I'll play this back. Oh, actually, you probably want to see the clips as I do this. Love it. Okay, so now our visuals are working with our music. Everything is giving the feeling that we want to the audience. Awesome. So I just want to make sure. Oh, the other thing, I was like, is there anything else I want to tell you about music? Yes, there is, okay? Because in the beginning, you know, I'm playing this. It's sounding great, all right? People are getting hype about the intro of our video, but it's not going to sound so great when I go over to this part where I start talking, and you'll see why. Let's talk about video gear because it can get out of control real quick. I'm sorry, like what? What did I say? I can't hear it because the music is so loud. And so what I could do is I could click on the music. I could go over to the Essential Sound panel. I could go to the Edit tab. First thing, when we're editing, any audio clip that's on our timeline, Premiere is going to be like, yo, what kind of audio is this? This is music. So now it's going to give us music settings. And then I could go down here to clip volume and I could adjust the volume down. I could also, I'm going to undo that for a second. I could go over on this timeline and you will see, let me get over just a little bit. There's this line here. When I hover my mouse over this line, it says volume level and I can drag that up or down. So let's drag it down and then we'll play this back and see if it's any better. Let's talk about video gear because it can get out of control real quick. So that sounds great, beautiful. But if I go back to the beginning of my timeline, then it's going to be too low. It's so quiet. I don't think anybody's going to be getting hype if the music's not thumping in the beginning. So what we want is really, we want like the audio to be normal right here. But then when it's, we want it to be down here when I'm speaking, right? So whenever I'm speaking, we want the music to kind of duck down and get lower under my speaking audio. Well, there's a super, super easy way to do that automatically within Premiere that is called music ducking. So with your music clip clicked, you're going to go over to Essential Sound Panel in that Edit tab, and then you're going to notice there's a section here called ducking. You're going to check that section. And then we're going to tell Premiere, I want you to duck this music against, or duck it under, make it lower under any the clips that we marked as dialogue. So all the speaking clips, then you're just going to click this button at the bottom that says Generate Keyframes. And Premiere's worked its magic. Now I want you to notice what has happened on our timeline. Premiere has automatically, it's high here, and then look, it's like a gradual little decline, and then it's going to get lower under my speaking clips. So let's play that back. Let's talk about video. No, did I already have it lower? I think I must have messed up the audio somewhere because I did this last time and it was beautiful. And now I've messed it up, but let me see. Let's talk about video gear because it can get out of control real quick. The last thing you need when you're on a deadline is to be. So I don't know why it's doing this. Murphy's Law, because every other time that I've done this webinar, it's done it perfectly, I promise you. And hopefully it's worked beautifully on your device. But it usually, like a lot of times, if I guess what the music level should be under my audio, it never quite sounds right. I can't figure it out. But whenever I do this in Essential Sound, it seems like it's just perfectly balanced. I'm sure there's some algorithm in there that's figuring it out. But somewhere along the line, I messed something up. But y'all trust me, usually this works like a dream. Why don't we just try one more time? I'll add the song and see if it figures things out. Boop. Music, ducking, generate keyframes. Let's talk about video gear because it can get out of control. Gorgeous. Okay, yeah. So I screwed something up along the way, but we redid it. We saved it. All right, and so that is how you do music. That's how you can correct your speaking audio, get rid of funky background noise that's distracting and taken away from the beautiful stuff that's coming out of your mouth, and how you make sure that your background music sounds good with your speaking audio. So I'm going to check in, and y'all let me know if you have any questions. I'm also, if you're sitting there and you're like just waiting, let me know what else you want to learn in Premiere because I'm always curious, what other lessons we can create or what kind of stuff you want to learn. I did lower the entire track and then did the ducking. I think I forgot to bring it back up, right? Okay. Let's see if there's any other things that we're having questions. Good music choice. Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. How do you balance voice to music? This is cool. Y'all are like asking the questions right before I'm answering them, so I feel good that we're covering stuff. Can you do I/O for song clips as well? Yes. So when I'll show you, I need to get back on the screen and I'll show you that. Okay. we'll be able to figure it out once we can see your screen. I hope I was sharing my screen the whole time. Y'all let me know if there was any problem. Okay. Let's see. Oh, all right. Okay, cool. So y'all are showing me, telling me what other stuff. Can I create a different background for my video? I don't know what else, if I'll be able to obviously cover everything in this, but it's good to know for future stuff. Okay, cool. Superimposed. Sweet. And then what was the question that I was just going to answer? Does the ducking understand the dialogue? Do you not need to assign a clip as dialogue somehow? All right, so Jack, you need to basically, the reason that ducking worked is because the speaking clips that we had earlier, we had already assigned to dialogue. So it's looking for those clips that we assigned to dialogue. And then, where was that other question that I wanted to answer? Oh, about I and O in music. Yes, you can. So I'm going to go back to my screen here, and I'll pull up. All right, you'll notice whenever we added this music track to our timeline, over in the project panel, Premiere automatically added this asset for us. So apparently I added it 3 times and put it in here. And so I could double click this asset. And remember, whenever we double click an asset, it shows up in the source panel, right? And then in the source panel, I can press I and O, select an excerpt, or reset, whatever I want. And now, oops, with that selected, this little excerpt, I can drag just the audio, and it just does that excerpt. So yeah. Okay, so let's move on. Now that we've got everything looking good, everything sounding good, let's talk about, let me find my spot. I think we're done. Are we done? Yes, that's what we're done. Okay, so we're almost done actually, because we got one little problem left with our audio. You will notice that we've got a ton of music that is just continuing to go long after our visuals have gone away, so we don't want that, so we need to fix that situation. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna press the T key to zoom in here, be taken to that clip. I'm gonna press the C key to get my razor tool, all right? And then down here, I'm just gonna chop off the rest of that audio, and I'm gonna click it and delete it, all right? And now, if I play this back, there's like a very abrupt stop to our song. We don't want that. We want this little fading situation that we've got going on where Premiere's created these dots on this volume line. To do that, we're gonna go over to our tools panel. We're gonna grab a final tool here. This tool is called the pen tool. You can also get to it by pressing P. So you're gonna click that, and then down here on this song, this is how we're gonna add dots to this line. So you can click, and you'll see if you hover your mouse over this line, you got a little plus symbol with that pen. You're gonna click, and then you can add dots, and we'll drag the second dot down so that we've got a nice decline. I'll play that back. Cool, so now our music is fading out, and we've got a nice soft, outro on this video, and we're done. So all that's left to do now, y'all, is we want to preview this. We want to play this back, and when we do this, we want to have a full theater experience. And so to do that, what you're going to do is I want you to go on your keyboard, all right, and then actually first what I want you to do is select the program panel, because this is where our timeline plays back, right? All right, after you do that, then I want you to go to your keyboard. At the very top left, you should see a key that looks like a little squiggle, all right? Like a little squiggly line. And that squiggly line is called the tilde key, I think. I call it the squiggle key. You're gonna click that. You're gonna press that. When you press that, with this program panel selected, boom, full screen. That's gonna happen for any panel. You could do the project panel, press the tilde key, it goes to full screen. And when you press it again, it gets minimized. So that's a nice trick to know. So we're gonna press the tilde key. First, I'm going to go to the beginning of this timeline. Then I'm going to go to the program panel and press the tilde key. And let's watch what we've done all the way back. Let's talk about video gear, because it can get out of control real quick. The last thing you need when you're on a deadline is to be scrambling around trying to find some piece of gear.
How does this stuff just disappear?
Like, where does it even go? And so in this video, I'm gonna show you 6 ways to keep your video gear organized and your sanity intact. All right, let's go. Tip number 1 is to use these wall hangers for your grip equipment. Yes, so fire. All right, y'all. I hope that played back right, because on the last stream, I don't think, Premiere and my computer could keep up with it. But hopefully you got an idea how fire this edit is. So obviously, it would be cruel to deny the world this edit. We need to get it out of Premiere. We need to export it and upload it ASAP so people can enjoy it. And so the final step to our video is exporting. So we're going to talk about how to do that. And of course, we want our social media game on point. Y'all know we made a little teaser there. So we want to put this in multiple sizes, and we wanted to make it easy to do that. So I'm going to show you how. So we're going to go back to the screen here. And then first thing, let me get my script and see what I want to tell you. Okay, so go back up here. Sorry, y'all, just want to make sure I'm not rambling for you. Okay, so here we go. Now, you will see right here that, like I said, our sequence here is widescreen. Now, when you're looking on a phone, I don't have a phone here, but everybody holds their phone vertically, and so that's not going to take up much real estate on the phone. So that's why we want to make another one that is square, and we could do vertical, we could do whatever we want. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to change this sequence size? So first, what I want you to do is I want you to go back to the project panel here, and we've got our little search bar. We can search for anything. You're going to type in sequence. When you do that, you should see an asset come up in your timeline, in your project panel that has this little icon by it that you see on the left. And that little icon, it looks like a little timeline, right? We got different tracks and we got a little playhead. It's so cute. That is a sequence. So if I click on this, we got this little preview up here. So let me just go through this preview here and show you a few of these clips. This ain't just one clip, right? This is all of the clips that we've got in this timeline. And so what that means is that this sequence right here represents the sequence of clips in our timeline, right? Okay, now where did it come from? When we first dragged these bins of footage onto that timeline, then Premiere automatically created a sequence for us, which was super nice, and it just named it whatever, this first clip speaking shots was. So we don't want it though in our footage bin. So we're going to drag it out of there. Let's just create a new bin. I just pressed Command B. That's a shortcut for new bin. And I'll type in sequences, and I'll drag it in there. Now let's rename this. We'll press Enter to rename, and we'll call this Gear Org Tutorial. Okay, so cool. So now we've got this sequence. Now we want to duplicate it, and we want to make it a different size. To do that, it used to be kind of a pain, but now it is really, really easy because Premiere has been adding some beautiful new features. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, then we're going to go down right here to this option called Auto Reframe Sequence. All right, so click that. Then we're going to get a settings window. All right, this settings window, let's talk about what we're doing here. So in this settings window, you will see we can pick first our size. So what is the target aspect ratio that we want this to be? So we want this to be a square, but you could pick other options here. But we're just going to pick square. Then it's going to ask us for a name, but Premiere's been really nice and named it. That's cool, Premiere. Thank you. And then the last section we've got here is motion tracking. And this is really cool because what's going to happen is, like, let's say that you have, like right now we've got a widescreen video, right? And let's say this is our subject. Well, what's going to happen when we crop this is, it's going to take off this side and it's going to take off this side. But then, if we've got a subject that's moving all around the frame, and like sometimes they're going to be outside of the frame, sometimes they're going to be in it, And Premiere is going to be awesome though, because what it's going to do, let's see if I can remember what shortcut keys I'm supposed to press to select. There we go. What it's going to do is it's going to move the frame and track or follow your subject so that they always stay in frame at this new size, which is awesome. And I know it's like algorithms and computers and formula. I don't know what y'all engineers are doing behind the scenes, but props to you. So in order to help Premiere track our subject's motion as the best that it can, we're going to tell Premiere what kind of motion we've got, We've got some really nice slow gimbal shots and then some static shots where our subjects are staying still. So we're going to pick slower motion, and then don't worry about this option. Just leave it on the default for now. And we're going to click create. All right, cool. Look, Premiere has made our square sequence here. Oh, no, sorry, my mouse is lagging a little bit because you'll see it's analyzing down there at the bottom right. It's doing some computations and using the processor. And so, but now look, we got a square video. This is awesome. You'll also see that over here in the project panel, it has created a new sequence for us right here. And we could just reorganize this and put it in our own little bin. Nope, maybe we don't want to do that right now. We'll just leave it be. You just chill there. All right, because it brought over our adjustment layers too, which is nice. All right, anyways, so we've got two sequences here, right? You'll also notice that in the timeline panel, we've got both of our sequences up at the same time in tabs. All right, so we can have multiple sequences up. You know, a lot of editors, like that are basic editors, will just give you one timeline, not in Premiere. No, we can have multiple sequences. All right, so now let's talk about how it automatically reframed things. So if I go in this widescreen sequence and I look at this shot of me, for example, you know, ordinarily, like if I were cropping this to be a square, what would happen is your girl would be over on the left side, all right? But with this auto reframe feature that we just used, Premiere is going to take that image and it's going to recenter me so that I'm in the center, and that's a beautiful thing. Now, if you want to adjust something, the way that it framed things, you can also do that. You can click on a clip, you can go to Effect Controls, and then you'll see we've got this auto reframe effect here. And then where it says reframe offset, we can adjust things. We can adjust exactly what's in frame if we want. But let me tell you, like first when I heard about this feature and it was like, okay, it's going to automatically reframe, I was like, okay, Premiere. Sure. And then I tried it and I was like, okay, Premiere, I see you. Like it really, I barely ever have to touch anything, especially if you've got faces in your shot. So now that things are reframed, we want to export and get this out of Premiere. So to do that, first I want to tell you that whatever sequence you have up here in your timeline panel is the one that's going to get exported when you do the export command. All right, so let's start with our square sequence. We're going to make sure it's up in the timeline panel. Then we're going to go to the File menu. Then we're going to go to Export, and then we're going to go to Media. Okay, just make sure I'm on the internet, and I'm live. Yes, okay. Now we've got an export settings window with a lot of different settings, okay? But it's very easy. So on the left side, this is where we're going to be telling Premiere what section of our timeline we want to export. And then on the right side, we're going to give it all the details about the file type. So first, I want you to notice that down here, we can drag in the beginning and the end of this little mini timeline here and decide what section of our timeline we want to include. But in our case, we're just going to go down here and where it says source range, we're just going to go to entire sequence. We want it all. All right. Then on this right side, first, we've got a lot of settings. I'm going to make it easy. Here's the too long didn't read version. All right. If you want to upload a video onto the internet, the format that you want to use is H.264. Okay. This is what all the sites like YouTube and everything wants, because this is going to give you a pretty small file size, which is great for downloading and then for playing back, but it's going to give you nice quality. All right, so H.264 for the format, then for the preset, you're going to see there's lots of options. You could pick one of those. I like to pick this first option here that's called Match Source High Bitrate. This is going to match the source. So whatever your source sequence was, you know, if it was square, your final video is going to be square. Beautiful. That's what we want. And then high bitrate means it's going to be packing a lot of bits of data into your final video so that it's high quality and it looks good. All right, so H.264, Match Source High Bitrate. Then lastly, output name. You're going to click this, and that's where you're going to tell Premiere, hey, this is what I want this to be named, and that where you're going to tell it where to save it. So why don't we go here? We're going to go to our project folder, and in that project folder, you'll see I've got an export folder. So I'm going to click that, and we'll just save it there. Cool. We're done. All right, there's a lot of other settings down here you can customize if you want, but by selecting this preset, Premiere has already done that for you. And so now all we got to do is go down here to export. All right, if we do that, you'll see it's saying down here, it's going to export immediately. That means that, you know, it's going to export immediately. So that means, you're going to sit and you're going to wait because, we have some fancy mogurts. We added effects. We did a lot of stuff. And so it's going to take a minute, depending on how fast your machine is. Then we're going to have to go back and we're going to kind of have to babysit our computer until we want to export that next sequence, which we don't want to do. We don't have time for that. So we're going to scoot right over here to the left to this button called Q. All right. And if you're from the other side of the pond, then you know what Q means. That means it's when somebody is like lined up waiting until it's their turn. So we're going to click that because we want to create a lineup of these videos and then export them all at once. So we're going to get a little warning saying, yo, you didn't license your audio. Fine. Okay, cool. We know. For now, we're just going to click Q again. When we do that, another app is going to launch down here. It's launching on my other screen, so you can't see it, but it's this app right here called Adobe Media Encoder. And if you're freaking out like, oh no, this is a Premiere tutorial, I don't have this app, you should definitely have this app because whenever you download Premiere, this app automatically installs on your computer. So now that we have, because this app is going to help you encode or export or create media. Very, very efficiently. So what it did is it just sent this export job from Premiere over to Media Encoder, and it put it in this queue or this lineup. And you'll see here it is, Gear Org Tutorial 1 by 1, and it's in a queue right here. It says queue. So this is not exporting yet. It's only going to export once we click this button over here, the play button, and we start the queue, which we don't want to do yet because we have another sequence to add to this. So we're going to go back down here to Premiere. Right, we're going to click on our other sequence, our widescreen sequence here, and then we're going to export it. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to File, down to Export, Media. Our settings window is here. We're going to make sure the entire sequence is selected. We've got H.264. We've got match source high bitrate, and then here's our name. It's saved in the right folder. Bam, we're good to go. Now we're going to go back down here to Q. We're going to click that. We've got our little song warning. It's cool. We're pressing Q again, and it is getting sent to the Adobe Media Encoder app. So now you'll see we got both of our files here ready to export in the queue. And then all we got to do is press this button up here, play, to start things. Then we can go Netflix and chill. And I'm not going to do this right here because I'm worried I would break the live stream, but you get the idea. So at this point, you don't have to babysit your computer, and you could just go back and, like I said, go to bed, wake up to your babies in the morning and celebrate. Like, what an amazing job you have done editing this video. And I just want to say that if you are here to the very end, you really have done an amazing job. You should be super proud of yourself because we have covered so much. And I have packed your brain with a lot of info that hopefully is really going to empower you to create videos in this program. Not be scared of it, but be like, I'm going to own this. Because I know there are a lot of features in Premiere and it can be like, oh, I got to figure a lot out. But I want to show you today that they are there to make your life easier and not more complicated, right? You got all the options, flexibility, you can customize things. You've got shortcuts that, you can customize, but they're definitely going to make things a lot faster so it's not taking forever. And you've got these really nice auto buttons, they're going to automatically duck footage for you and correct your color and all these things. And so those are there to make sure that you don't have to do all this grunt work of editing, but you can really focus on the fun, creative stuff that we all love about creating videos. And you can put your energy into really telling the best stories you want to tell so that you can make whatever beautiful impact and positive impact you want to make on the world. So that's all that I have. I do want to remind you that if you forgot anything that I said today, because I covered so many steps, you can find that recap guide and you can brush up on anything. It goes through all the steps. That's at marybetsy.com/premiere-pro. And then also in that guide, you'll find the keyboard shortcuts cheat sheet in the timeline section. Also, go to Premiere's site, to Adobe's site. There are tons of tutorials and little mini courses, so many free resources where you can learn anything that you want. So definitely check that out, or check out this YouTube channel, Adobe Care, and Adobe's other YouTube channels. I think they've got an Adobe Video Motion one as well. And then if you want to learn more from me, I'm on YouTube as well at youtube.com/marybetsy, and I've got Premiere tutorials. Or I've also got a course that gets into really advanced editing. So you're talking about pinpointing color, or, I think somebody was talking about compositing, all about, effects and animations and just all really next level editing. Then you can learn more about that at marybetsy.com if you're interested. But is there anything else? that I have for y'all. I don't think so. I just hearty congratulations from me, and thank you for sticking around this long. Like I said, this is my third live stream teaching premiere, so it means so much that you're here by the end. I do want to dip into the chat and see if there are any questions, but I've really enjoyed teaching y'all today, and I hope that you've enjoyed learning. Let me know what you're going to make with Premiere. I want to know. Link your channels down there if you want me to visit, and don't hesitate to leave a comment on this video. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed it. I had such a blast with y'all. Very useful. This is very, thank you. Subscribed. Awesome. Love to hear that. Appreciate that so much. Stay to the end. Stay to the end, gang. Yes. All right. You've easily saved me 1.5 lifetimes already. That is what I hope to do. I'm absolutely thrilled. Like, my day is already so good because of y'all. So thank you. All right. Well, if anybody has any questions, do not hesitate to hit up the Adobe Care team. Drop them in the comments. You can also find me on social media at gomarrybetsy.com. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram if you want to hit me up there. And I can clarify other things for you. But again, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.